Welcome to the CryptoPicks video analysis for the week of September 2nd to September 8th. And in this video, we're going to cover the monthly, weekly, and daily time frames of Bitcoin, as well as go over last week's swing trade entry in Bitcoin. And then we're going to wrap up the video with a quick lesson on how we use the 10 and 40 week moving averages on a weekly chart to identify the trend. So let's get to the charts. First up, Bitcoin monthly chart, and not much has changed from last month. It is holding above the downtrend line, but we'll need to clear last month's high now in order to build some positive momentum on the monthly. And if it can get above the 2-month high, even better. Since last month was an inside month for the most part, looks like it was just a little bit lower than the prior month's low, though. It still looks like a pretty tight month overall. To get above last month's high would be a great start. And on the weekly chart of Bitcoin with the 10 and 40 week moving averages, we see that the 10 week is starting to turn up here, which is a positive sign, but the 10 week is still below the 40 week MA, and the price action is yet to set a higher high. So we have a potential higher low here versus here. But in order to confirm that there is a reversal of trend, we need to see the price action take out the prior swing high here. And if it can clear that high, we could also see the 10-week moving average move above the 40-week MA as further confirmation. Until then, though, still chop mode. So on to the daily chart. We have the 10 crossing above the 20. Both are turning up. The 50 MA is already in an uptrend or trending higher over the past few weeks. The 200 MA is still trending lower, and that is our resistance on our current short-term swing trade. So in last week's report, we mentioned that Bitcoin is a possible swing trade above 6,600 right here, 6,600 area. And we listed the buy entry in between the 6,600 to 6,800 area, which 6,800 is right here. So the entry did trigger on the 27th, and the trade is up about 6% right now. And the target is still the 200-day MA, which, depending on how long the price action takes to get there, we may have to lower our target. Right now, our target is near 7,800. And just a reminder that this is a short-term counter swing trade, so we don't want to overstay our welcome. We definitely do want to sell into strength if possible. And in terms of stop management, once the trade is up about 10 to 12%, we'll move our stop to break even, or potentially use the 10-day MA as a guide for an exit on weakness if we're unable to sell into strength. And the significance of a profit of 10 to 12% is just that it is what we risked on the trade. So we're risking about 12%. So once we're up close to that level, we want to at least raise the stop to break even for shorter term counter trades, or even higher, so that we don't let a positive trade turn into a negative. So let's move on to this week's lesson on how we use the 10 and 40 week MAs on a weekly chart to identify the trend. So going back to 2017 on the weekly chart of Bitcoin, we see the 10 and 40 week moving averages both pointing higher, with the price action holding above the 10-week MA. This is a great example of what we like to see in an uptrend. When the price action dips below the 10-week MA and starts to go sideways in between the 10 and 40 week MA, it's transitioning from an uptrend to maybe reversing lower and starting a new downtrend, or just chop mode. Either way, the 10-week MA starts to lose momentum and turns lower, and the 40-week MA begins to flatten out rather than trending higher. So when we look at a chart of Bitcoin, we see that the price action has found support, but the 10-week is below the 40-week MA and starting to turn up, but the 40-week is still sideways. We can look at this chart and see right away that we can't expect too much out of the price action here until this high is taken out. The difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum, I think you can spot right away on the weekly, in that Ethereum is not holding support. It's actually broken below support, Both the 10 and 40-week MAs are in a downtrend, and the 10-week MA is below the 40-week MA, and will be considerable resistance on any bounce off the lows. All right, that's a wrap for this week's video. If you have any questions concerning any of the techniques mentioned in the video, go ahead and shoot me an email at rick@morpheustrading.com. And thanks for joining us, and have a great week.